All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the October edition of Discord Demo Day. My name is Atish, and I'm very happy to have my special guest, Hoj, for this month. If this is your first time tuning into Discord Demo Day, basically the way it works is I take submissions from the community, anyone and everyone. You can submit your demo submission in my Discord server at atishmusic.com/discord, and me and my buddy Hoj, we're just gonna listen through as many as we can. Um, on that note, we're not going to get through everything. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, we're going to bump you to the top of the list. And if I reviewed one of your demos last month, we're going to skip this month because I just want to reach as many people as possible. So with that, I want to introduce my dear friend and artist who I deeply respect, Hoj. Welcome, Hoj.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
So, just for a little background on how I came to know Hoj, I knew Hoj as an artist before I got to know him as a friend. I got into you through two mixes of yours. One was there was the this listed compilation CD group of CDs, and I had a CD player in my car at the time, and I had the Hoj mix on repeat for like months and months and months. This must have been
Nice.
like 2010 or
What
2011 or something.
was it, like the black one with the colored stripes?
Yeah,
Oh, I
exactly.
remember that. Yeah,
And
that was cool.
it's funny, the way we listened to music when we had car CD players was very different than at least the way I listen to music today. Because I would get to know a CD inside and out because I'd be too lazy to change it out. So I knew
Same.
that mix really, really well. And your I think the first mix actually that I got to know of yours was your live after hours at the Villa. I think that was from like
Oh yeah,
BPM, like way back. And I was just listening today. Really, really nice
nice.
stuff. But since then, you and I, we've built a friendship together. It got to the point where in 2015 we actually toured Europe together. And I referred to you lovingly as my road husband. Uh, and
God, that was such a good trip, man. So
yeah,
good.
yeah, it was a great time. And yeah, it was just super fun. And yeah, just happy to be able to call you a friend of mine. Um, on a personal level and artistically, I think you have a lot of things to hang your hat on. You co-run the label Tail and Tone with Lee Burridge. You've been a resident of All Day I Dream, which obviously everyone knows, and we'll get into a little bit of that later. But you're also kind of one of the behind the scenes creative forces of All Day I Dream, which not everybody knows. And of course, you're a great DJ amongst the burner scene, outside the burner scene, and your productions the last few years have been really, really great. So happy to have you on board.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much. Well,
Yeah, man.
it probably needn't be said, but I'm a huge fan of Atish, of you as well. I remember, yeah, hanging out on the Tiki. You remember that boat
Oh yeah,
party
I
in
can never
Miami?
forget.
Man, and then yeah, just hanging out in Miami, and then yeah, you started kicking ass behind the decks, and it was like, oh wow, let's go, Atish. It's been awesome to see you kind of rise and blossom, and yeah, man, so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. It's gonna be fun. I mean, the last few that we've done have been really, really fun. And personally, you and I were talking about this before. I just find them really, really personally rewarding. Almost
Hmm.
almost like a sense of duty, because when I was just starting out, it's and before you have a big network or all this kind of thing, or before you make it to a certain level, it's really hard to get quality feedback. So I kind of want to create this platform with artists who I love and respect to help people who are just starting out, kind of move their music in a direction that maybe aligns with us, maybe it doesn't, but it's always nice to have some other ears.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all that being said, how have you been the last few months? We were in this pandemic, and I just like to start by checking in to see how you're doing.
Yeah, man, I've been good. I mean, production. I spent a lot of the pandemic in the studio, which was yeah, I just felt grateful and lucky to be able to do that. And yeah, I've been kind of kicking around California. I'm in the mountains now, which I've been kind of hiding out here between touring and stuff, and building a little studio up in the loft here. So yeah, it's been nice, just quiet and chill. And then a lot of madness on weekends as I hop here and there. Um, I have been trying to find some new T-shirts, and I'm so fucking jealous of yours right now. It's like so good.
You know who I got this from? Speaking of Tiki Boat, from Mary Wagman, a Bee's a Love Child.
Oh
Like
my god, it's so
half
good.
half my wardrobe is from her. I love her, and she just has this wacky stuff. So, quick plug for Ibiza Love Child for ridiculous, crazy stuff. But cool, yeah. Just in the studio, the gigs kind of ramping up.
Hmm.
Any gigs coming up you're excited about?
Yeah, actually Saturday I'm playing just kind of a friends and family thing in LA. That's going to be really fun at the Hotel Figueroa. I don't really know how to say that. I think I said it right,
Just say Fig.
but
Yeah.
just the fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with Patricio and Henry Pope and those kids, so that should be
Awesome.
really fun. And then yeah, just kicking around the West Coast for a bit. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So, one thing that I touched on a little bit in the review of your accolades, Tail and Tone, All Day I Dream, both are collaborations you have with Lee Burridge. Not many people know. I mean, I think everyone knows that you're kind of at the head and forefront of Tail and Tone, but not a lot of people know about your role behind the scenes of All Day I Dream. So, you want to just talk a little bit about that, kind of what the mind of Hoj is up to over there?
Yeah, actually that mix that you mentioned, After Hours at the Villa, that was what Leah and I refer to that as the first unofficial All Day I Dreamed.
Oh.
The after party at BPM that inspired me to do that mix.
Ah. I mean, it
Um,
opens with that beautiful track Pierre Bucci Blue, which is
yeah,
like a
it's so
perfect
good.
all day I dream track right there.
Exactly. So that's when and Leah and I played at La Santanera or somewhere like that during BPM, and then afterwards we all went back to somebody's villa, and Lee played for like 2 days or something,
As he does.
as he does. But I just remember the music he was playing. I was like, man, this is the music that I love. And what happened? Like, can we play this? Where can we play this? And I just was talking to Lee a lot in those days, and he had done a mix as well called "All Day I Dream of Her" that I was really fond of. And he said, "Why can't we just like play that kind of music at the after party, but make the after party the party?"
Yeah.
So that was kind of the genesis, and I helped kind of figure out, okay, what does this look like? And I did the cloud. Lee was obsessed with the sky and cloud formations at the time, so I kind of just did the single cloud and said, hey, this represents a dream or a daydream, whatever, and
Hmm.
every party and every release will have a single cloud and it'll be unique to that release and all that stuff. And I just kind of helped out with creative direction throughout. Um, and Lee and I started Tail and Tone, I don't know, maybe 5 years later, um, with kind of more of our nighttime sound, I
Hmm.
guess. We always said Tail and Tone was kind of the records that Lee and I would play in a back to back session,
Mm.
um, out at a festival or a club or something. So that was kind of a home for that kind of music, which we also love. So yeah, obviously we get a lot of submissions for Tail and Tone now. Back then it was kind of a lot of submissions for All Day I Dream, some of which didn't quite fit there, but fit this new thing better. Um, and now it's kind of, oh, maybe this doesn't fit here. Could it go there? Lee also has Tribes of, so that becomes
Hmm.
another outlet. So yeah, just kind of part of that ecosystem.
Sure. Obviously, tons of people, or I wouldn't say we have, out of the people who are on the stream, I'm sure everyone is aware of All Day I Dream, aware of Tail and Tone, and would love to get signed on one of those two labels. How does the A&R process work for either of these, or in general? What do you look for
Hmm.
musically, or what do you look for in artists? Are people submitting to you cold emailing, or are you reaching out to people? What does the A&R process look like?
I think it's a great question. It fluctuates and varies based on what's happening in my life and in Lee's life. I think for Tail and Tone, just speaking specifically about that, just because I'm more day to day on Tail and Tone. submissions come from uh, all over. We listen to everything. I personally listen to everything. Um, and what we're looking for is really like what, and this is going to sound, uh, I don't know what it sounds like. I'm a DJ first. So what I'm really looking for is, hey, can I play this tonight? Or can I play this on Saturday? Do I want to play this on Saturday? You know, so um, I think there's that's what I'm getting them. That's what I get the most excited about.
Yeah.
And then there's like, you know, some tracks just stand out in that, oh, this is really well produced, or this is doing something different. I wouldn't necessarily play this, but this,
No.
I've never heard something like this before. Or sometimes it's as simple as a chord progression or a melody or a groove. I think that just kind of hooks me. So I think every time I open a submission, there's like this sense of anticipation,
Yeah.
and then it's like, and then you hit play, and the groove has to get you straight away, and
Yep.
then you're like, okay, let's see where this goes. And then, you know, it either takes me somewhere or it doesn't, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint the analytically how or what does that. But
Totally. 100%. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, similarly on the Manjumasi side, it's we listen through every submission we get, and obviously before we sign something we listen through it all the way, but most of the time just listening like to 20 seconds of it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I think we're gonna sign this. It's just
yeah,
like something that just like kind of grabs me right away, all those elements, and then there's details in arrangement and things coming in and out, but I can totally relate. Like, I can't describe what that feeling is, but
yeah.
that feeling is what you would call the Manjumasi feeling or the tail and tone feeling, and something like that. Um, for either of the two labels, is it important to you for the artist to already be established and have a profile? Or can someone who's just a bedroom producer who's maybe not touring or not doing it professionally, how important is that from a label perspective?
I get such gratification from like, I don't know. I think there's this sense of honor from putting somebody's first record out. You know, like I feel like really privileged to do that. If I find something from a bedroom DJ that nobody's, you know, has absolutely no digital footprint or social media following, but he or she has created music that really speaks to me, and I get to put that out on Tail and Tone and then see where they go from there. That's like, you know, fire for me. You know, that's the
Absolutely.
goal.
It's
Yeah.
it's I mean, it's unsurprisingly that's probably why we're we're friends. I mean, it's the same thing for Manjumasi. Sometimes artists will say, I'm not established, I don't have a release yet, or whatever. I'm like, bonus, like this is
Yeah.
great, like
Wait, nobody's ever heard of you?
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. Come, send me all the demos. And similarly to what you said, I mean, I don't feel possessive. Like, we had an artist, we did their debut EP, and then they had a release, a couple years later, a year later, that came out on Junadeep, and I didn't feel territorial about it. I'm like, I'm so happy that at least we were the first step that led to something that's much bigger and greater than what we're doing. It's almost like a paternal kind of feeling in a way.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's
definitely.
I love that feeling. Not
Yeah.
all labels that have different priorities, but I think similarly, I think we're kind of on the same page there.
Yeah, I think, and you know, going back to you know, I do reach out to artists for submissions.
Hmm.
A lot of times that's because I think Greenage is a great example. Greenage had an EP last year, or maybe it was a year before, pre-pandemic, on Per recordings,
Hmm.
and every track on that EP I just fell in love with, and it was, they were tracks for me that, you know, when you're DJing and you play something so much you feel a little bit guilt, like, well,
Oh yeah.
should I play this again? Like, I've played it a lot. Like, should I
Yeah.
really play it? So I actually reached out to him and was like, man, like that EP was amazing, and if you're ever interested. So there is stuff like that, but um, I think that's like it just has to be something that really spoke to me, you know?
Yeah. One thing that you mentioned, which reminded me, when you play a track so much you feel a little guilty or whatever. I mean, it was really interesting when we went on tour together and we were playing back to back every gig, and I kind of got a window into your world on and you the same for me on how we use tracks in gig situations and like which tracks we really love. Like we're always going to find a way to make that track, work in a gig, and the ones that kind of cycle in and out. And yeah, it's that was a very I've never really back to back with someone that regularly in short time frame. So that was a very educational and a great learning moment for me to understand how
Mm.
you think about music and how how tracks kind of work in the rotation in and out and things like that. So
Yeah, and I think that's something that I try to do with Tail and Tone too. Is there's tracks that kind of demands that you build to them. Like if you just show up and play this track, it might actually fall flat. If you build to it and play it at the right moment,
oh.
it's just gonna blow things wide open.
What was
Um,
that track? Oh man, from the Canadian guy marching something.
with
It had
the
that.
with the strings, with
Yeah.
the strings.
Oh man, Dustin Nantes, right?
Dustin
Yeah,
Nantes, that was
marching
it.
something something. And I remember that was one of the tracks on our tour, and it was one of the tracks you have to build to get to that really
Yeah,
special stringy melodic moment. So,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Did I ever tell you that Lee on Facebook was like, he posted once, like long after our tour, whatever the song was called, Marching of Madness, whatever it was
yeah.
called. He posted on Facebook. It was like, who made this song? It's in my library. There's no name. It's called Marching of blah blah blah. I was like, that's Lee. That's Dustin. I sent
Oh,
it to you.
nice.
Very
Nice.
funny.
Awesome. Um, cool. Well, what do you say we start jumping into
Yeah,
submissions?
let's do it.
And
Excited.
then a little bit later, we're gonna listen through a track off your upcoming EP with I Love Newman, um,
Awesome.
and talk about a few other things. But yeah, let's jump right into it. So I'm
Let's do
going
it.
to see if I bungle this streaming software. It's my first time using it, so whoops, turn that on. Okay, there we go. So I'm just gonna kind of drive the ship, Hoj, by playing music.
Yeah.
If you want me to stop or if you start talking, I'll just pause and then we'll just kind of resume whenever we want, and we can jump back to other sections and super casual.
Cool.
All right. So this first one is from Howl, Promised Return. Howl, thanks for your support on Patreon. You get bumped to the top of the queue, and off we go.
I like those little melodies in the background.
Oh. Nice ambient touches.
Yeah. Waiting for that bass line.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Yep. All right, we got a groove going. I'm just gonna pause it here for a little 2 minute 15 commentary. I'll open with what I'm thinking so far, and then if you want to chime in, obviously you're welcome to. So so far, I really like the melodic ideas. The intro you had me hooked with these kind of ambient sounds, and that was really nice. I like the chord progression with those, whether it's a keyboard or pad. Um, the groove I think is fine. Right now, kind of what my ears are asking for is like usually I'm giving feedback on trying to remove elements, but I'm looking for some little small things to like fill space, like whether it's like fills or one shots or even some like delay tails after those bong bong hits. It's just I feel like the core ideas are fine and I'm satisfied with, but I just need something to kind of bring some life and to kind of keep it moving a little bit. Especially like when the uh when the melody kicked out and then it was just the percussion there for a little while, like I felt there was room to kind of like spice it up a little bit. So um yeah, so far I think the bass idea is good. I just think there's like another, so far it's like at that 80% where that last 20% of spicing it up and keeping it interesting is what my ears are asking for. Hoj?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think I'm right there with you. I think it something to unify as well. I
Mm,
feel like to unify the groove, to really lock the groove in. You know, the bit, sometimes you can use a bass line to drive, or you can use percussion to drive. I feel like in this, I like the sounds, and I like where it's going. Like you said, the chord progression that's kind of building is really nice. But with the groove, it's not quite making me want to move yet. And that happens sometimes when you have the disparate percussion elements and the disparate bass line. Nothing is really locking it together to really make me want to dance.
yeah.
You know.
Um, and one thing, let's see if it comes in, but there was those really nice ambient sounds in the beginning, which set this motif for me.
Mm.
Um, well, let's see where it goes. I'm wondering if I'm ever going to get to hear them again, or if they were just like an idea that kind of got dropped. So yeah, let's see where it goes. Right, let's resume.
There they are again.
Yep, yep. All right, I'll pause it here.
Mhm.
Ho, do you want to have any thoughts on the breakdown or how we kind of got to this point from there? Or I can go first if you like.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that there's so many nice sounds in this, and great ideas, and it's actually a really nice track. And just a caveat for me, I'm just looking for things because I that make you want to move, and that's just what we try to do with tail and tone, and what I'm always looking for. But this is really nice, and I think that the everything's pretty much working harmoniously as well, which is a really difficult thing to do. There's some sounds in here that I haven't really heard before. Like we've been talking about, I love those little super verbed out things in the distance. I wonder if that's an idea you can kind of um, take further, um, like make them more than just textures in the beginning and in the middle. Um, I wonder if a hi hat might help the groove a little bit, like a more pronounced hi hat or a sharper clap. Um, so there's just things like that that I'm curious about. But yeah, the breakdown itself, I feel like you develop the chord progression nicely. It does kind of like dip, and then you kind of get the groove again, which again for this kind of for this kind of song, maybe that's what you're going for. I'm usually looking for the chord progression to develop, and then you build and leave people in a higher place than they were before. But that's just my personal take on it.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think similar to what Hoj was saying. Let's drill into the breakdown. It had the dong 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 ding. It had a melodic idea that was kind of it has had a rising suspense building, and then it started feeling a little loopy to me. And I think on
Mm,
paper you were doing what I felt would have been the right thing. You had lots of like noise whooshes and things and kind of ambient sounds coming in, but I didn't feel like they were super cohesive to like building us to the peak, of the breakdown. It kind of just felt like one thing was kind of coming in, one thing was coming in that reversed wow 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 kind of came in. So I think there's some arrangement tweaks you can make to kind of align them so it's all building some energy together. Um,
mhm.
it's yeah, I just think just like a little bit of tweaking to kind of get that to go together. I'm just gonna jump here. I just wanted to hear this a little bit once more.
Yeah, and also how I think is messaging that it's coming.
Oh,
So maybe we give it a
oh, okay, okay, cool.
maybe it's one of those breaks that kind of like the groove kind of comes back in, but it
All right, cool.
keeps
Well, let's
building.
let's let's listen a little bit more before I
Okay, cool.
talk my his ear off. Cool. I'm gonna pause it here. So yeah, it definitely, and I like doing this in my arrangement a lot as well, where you have a big dramatic break, and then you're expecting a big pop, but you kind of get a stripped back groove. It's like the stutter. You get a stripped back groove, then it goes into the full groove. I really like the way it sounded when the full groove came after, around 503. But I think for me personally, jumping into this stripped groove, it feels like a really nice payoff if you've properly built the suspense during the breakdown to kind of pull off that contrast and expectation. So it didn't. I like the idea, but I think if you spent a little more time building the suspense properly in the, when
Mm,
in the breakdown to get to that point, the dynamic contrast is going to feel a lot more powerful. Also, this is a small thought. Maybe even when it's stripped, at risk of asking you to add too much, I'm wondering if there's one other like moving, subtle, not huge, but moving like melodic part or like something akin to a shaker loop. Just
mm,
so it is the stripped part of the track, but it is just after the breakdown. So I still want it to feel like it's like moving again. But that's just kind of
mhm.
like a personal thought right there. Hoj?
Yeah, that's good. I think it's yeah, I like going back to the groove after the break as well. I feel like something to give a little tension there as you build. Just let people anticipate a little bit what's coming. It's a good thought on the adding a little shaker groove or something. Um, I love when everything comes in. I would just also look at in the mix when you get there. Just make sure you don't have too much in the high frequencies. You might find you want to drop something down an octave into the mids or something. It felt like to my ears there was a lot happening in the high end of the spectrum when everything was playing at once.
Yeah, and actually, I didn't mention it. I think I felt that way about before the breakdown in like the mid highs. I thought there were some things in like the, let's say, 1,000 hertz part of the
Mm-hmm.
maybe the mids where there were some percussion things fighting against one another. Maybe play with like spacing it so they don't sit on top of each other, or pushing some percussion thing, octave up, octave down, or playing some time with the mix a little bit just to have the percussion pop a little bit more. But I'm gonna move on to the next one. But hopefully, there's something for you to run with there, Howell. And thanks for your submission.
Thank you.
All right, now we're on to the second of the Patreon supporters, my dear friend and my former roommate, James Fish. Uh,
James Fish.
oh, you know James too.
I know James. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Is that an octopus on his head?
It is,
That
and
is like very cool.
I think Roshi took that photo too. Who's in the chat right now?
Roshi's in the chat. Oh, Dolly Pop's also in the chat.
Oh,
Hey,
Dolly Pop.
Dolly. And
All the homies
Bonafide.
are here.
Nice.
All
Nice
right,
one.
let's jump into it, James. Oh, Roshi did take that photo. Yes.
That's ballsy. I like that.
Yeah. Cool bass.
I like that gritty kind of low bass.
Sick. I'm into this so far.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's dope.
Yeah. Nice.
Those claps get me going. See,
Yeah,
sometimes you just need a
yeah.
sharp clap.
It's
You're
like a
just like, oh
finger
yeah.
snap almost.
I like the sharp claps these days. I
Yeah.
used to like the big fat ones, splashy ones, but I like these sharp ones.
Nice. Nice one shots, melodic one shots.
There's like a little RP thing in the background. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Woo!
You feel like do you feel like the melodic elements there could kind of come up a bit just to kind of give you something a bit new?
Yeah, I'm kind of reserving my judgment because I want to see where it goes. I
Where
I
it
am
goes?
Yeah, but my ear is asking for something, and I'm curious if he's like restraining until we get it, or if that's just
Hmm.
what the vibe of the track is. One thought that's in my mind right now, which I'm waiting to see, is that dung 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 dung. There
Hmm.
is some variation on the filter, but I'm wondering if there could be either if he could drop it to give my ear a little break from it, arrangement wise, or if there is like a melodic variation on it. I'm not. Yeah, I'm kind of just like biting my tongue right now to see where it goes.
Okay,
But
let's keep going.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
But I'm yeah,
great groove.
totally. Yeah, overall, I'm hooked. I mean, now I'm just kind of like micro criticizing in my head, but really nice overall. Let's keep going. Yeah, it's a nice ARP there. Okay, there's some variation there. Ooh, cool.
That's a perfect time to bring that back.
Yep, exactly. Ooh, nice textures. Cool. Cool. All right, I'm gonna pause here. I'm just gonna assume it's a standard outro. Ho, do you want to jump in with your thoughts first here, or I'll let you lead if
Um,
you like?
yeah, no, you go for it, man. Go for it.
Um,
I think overall it's really well done.
yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I would say like this is first of all, the sound design is really really nice. I think your percussion hits, they don't sound like the stock things I find in sample packs. I James, I know that you like to do a lot of world sampling, with your own microphones. If these are some of your own homegrown samples in percussion, awesome. Even if they're not, really really nice choice of your percussion. It's minimal, but it doesn't feel too stripped. I mean, things are just placed really really well, and the sounds are
Mhm.
chosen really really well. I mean, it's just a really really, the groove is elegant. I would say it's a very elegant groove. I mean, the track is elegant. Needless to say, I don't know. I like this a lot. I like a
Mhm.
lot about it. Um, I think really my uh oh, and the melodic textures and the sounds and the one shots, all great. Like hats off to all that. The only thing that that I would say is, and I, this is an artistic decision. I don't want to compromise what you're going for, but what I was kind of biting my tongue on that bum bum bum, you did drop it after the break, but by the time we got to the break, I was a little bit bored of it. And you did have variation on it. You did add melodic variation. You did have some. It sounded like you were opening and closing the filter. My ears were just asking for a little bit more, especially with such a sophisticated palette. I wonder if there's room, and not to go over the top, but just glitch it out a little bit. Maybe you have some different length delay tails, or you do the classic, delay thing, and then you ramp down the speed or ramp it up, like that kind of thing. Maybe glitch them up every now and then with like a redux or a bit crusher, or maybe even like reverse, some of the notes, like won't kind of thing, just to, you're already varying it. I just want a little bit more variation, because I I wish I was as hooked in middle of the track as I was for like the first 2 minutes. And then the last thing I'll say is after the break, in the interest of time, I won't go back comparing, but I'm not sure if I got anything new to my ears. Again, it's a minimal track. I'm guessing you don't want to throw too much in there, but something to kind of give me a little bit of a payoff, or something that felt a little fresher when that boom 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 came in after the break. So it didn't feel like I was where I was before the break, or maybe I just missed it or didn't hear it. But all that being said, overall, I mean, I would say this is like a really, really good, and hats off. And on a personal note, I mean, just hearing how far you've come with your own production work, James, I'm really proud to see, how sophisticated your sound has gotten.
Yeah, it sounds really good, and I think I'm just reading some of the comments too. Bonafide, I agree with both you guys. It's a minimal track, and I don't. I think the groove it's kind of staying there intentionally. I
Mm-hmm.
get that. I can only give you like, it excited me, and I think I'm with you, Atish. Like arrangement wise, or maybe something needs to change in the middle just to get you through it. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a surprise. I think um, one thing you could also think about is just sometimes just changing up a note of that main melody could be enough. Like you're going ba bum 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 bum, just one time ba bum 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 bum. There's something to just give people a little surprise. It's unexpected. You could keep your minimal aesthetic and just give people a little something unexpected. Could be cool. Other things that occurred to me was I also really love the drum sounds and how you've placed the percussion in the groove. One thing that actually Newman, just a tip that he gave me once that I do on all my tracks now, and you've probably done this, but just doing like a little slapback reverb or delay pass on those little elements. So like at times you just kind of give it a little twist, and it that like a tiny little snare could kind of repeat once or twice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That like sometimes that stuff in the groove is really cool to kind of just give you some unexpected things.
Cool. And I'm just gonna extend what Hoj said. And kind of, I did hear some melodic variation in the bum bum bum. Um, I think there's room to do even more, and you don't have to go over the top, but like some really, really subtle, like ghost notes, or like small accent notes. They don't even necessarily have to be audible, and you can decide how funky you want to go. If you want to like do like but like like something like that, just to give it some like human kind of, like, imagine there was like a like just a live bassist, just like a pro funk bassist, and that's the fundamental bass line, bum bum, let's say bum bum bum, but like a top bassist, he would just add all these small little hits every
Mhm.
once in a while, and the listener might not even hear them, but they just add life to keep it kind of grooving and moving. So if you want, tweak with just putting some really subtle ghost notes is what I'm looking for,
Yeah,
to that groove
that's
there.
cool. Oh, that's cool. He said the shakers
Oh shit,
and samples were from a backgammon
a
set. I love
backgammon
that,
set.
man.
Awesome,
That's
very
dope.
cool. Awesome.
Nice.
Well, cool. Very good stuff, James. Thanks for the support on Patreon. And we're going to move on to the next one. We got just two more from the Patreon supporters. Then we're going to jump into submissions from anyone in the community. All right. And maybe after this, after in one or two, let's jump into your upcoming track, Hoj.
Sure.
All right. This one's from Jakira. This is called Discord Demo.
I love that.
Self-descriptive.
Nice.
Nice. Nice. Really nice. I don't even want to pause it. Let's just keep it
Yeah,
going.
keep it going. Thanks you.
pause it there. As as much as I don't want to stop, I just want to make sure we have time for everyone. Um, Hoj, I'll let you lead on this one.
Yeah, I mean, really nice. When it started, and this is what I love. There's this great juxtaposition. It's like this kind of housey groove, this housey percussion, housey bass line, and the flute kind of brings this melancholic, melodic elements that just contrasts everything. And I think that that contrast is often what I'm looking for. Yeah, I just think it's really well done, and I think also with flutes, and I think anything. Any of that organic instrumentation. I'm only saying that because Beatport made it a genre. But
Better than calling it Oriental.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I find myself nowadays being like, um, don't don't overdo it. And this was like a perfect example of not overdoing it. It was like the right amount of it. It came in when it needed to. It went out. It was like I think two or three phrases that were sampled. Um, yeah, just really well done. Same thing with with breakdowns when they kind of go to almost silence. As a DJ, I'm always kind of like, is it? Everything's quiet. Everybody's gonna stop dancing, but the percussion came right back on this one. So yeah, totally playable. Really well done.
Cool. Yeah, I think I like this a lot. I like just about everything about it. I think where it shines, I mean, I think the composition is really great. The way the elements interplay off each other, the use of organic against synthesized samples. I mean, the groove is just this like it's just this low slung kind of like I don't know. It just kind of makes me like bob my head. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had, if you wanted to experiment with it, um, it was dragging a little. Like, actually, to be honest, when it started, I didn't have a great feeling that I was gonna like what came later. And then I was pleasantly surprised when a lot more of the elements came in. So a couple things you could play with. Maybe you can variate the length of your bass sounds or have a second bass texture to uh kind of give it like a little bump of a movement. And I'm really scared to say this because it grooves hard right now, but almost like bum ba bum 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 ba bum ba bum 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 ba bum ba like, or you don't have to go that far, but just some like subtle kind of responses in the bass sound and changing the length. um it could it could keep my attention hooked a little bit more. It could even take the groove from like an A to an A plus. Um, Also in the intro, some of the perk loops or whatever sounded really wide in my headphones, and I think they're compressed pretty hard. Maybe just something to look at. Try playing this in mono. If you play this on a system, you might have some weird, what might sound like phasing or delay issues. It's pretty wide. Um, and then the only other thing, like I said, compositionally, I like it. Arrangement, I like it. I think you might be able to squeeze a little bit more out of your textures. One in the bass line, maybe you can play with like opening the filter envelope on some or all of the bass hits. Like, so rather than like boom, 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 it's a little bit more of like a wow, 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 wow. Or maybe you just do that once in a while, just to like give it a little bit of a life. Um, and then there was something with some keys kind of coming in like in the breakdown, like ding. Let me see, the ding ding a ding ding a ding ding. Um, I think there's room for just like a little more variation on it. Compositionally, it's perfect, but it just feels like it was kind of stacked in Ableton and just like extending each part. See if you can play with the ADSR a little bit, play with opening the filter, maybe like an envelope hit, maybe some random delay tails, on one of them. Similar to kind of what I was talking about in the previous track with James. Again, like this is kind of stuff that could take this from like an A to an A plus. I just think there's some room where you can squeeze a little bit more life out of it to take something that's like good plus to like great. But overall, really nice tune. Yeah,
Hey,
I like it
Atish,
a lot.
I can't see on the on my screen. How long is it in total?
716.
716. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just do that, do a check when people submit stuff because sometimes it'll be like 9 minutes and you don't need 9 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes you need 9 minutes, but yeah, that's a good
yeah.
thing.
Cool, cool. But overall, really, really nice. And yeah, I would be curious to hear more from you as well. Liked what I heard so far. All right, last one from the Patreon batch. This is from Peeve or Peve. Um, this track is called "Trip to the Perfect World Where Everything Is a Big Lie." All right, cool.
It's a
And
good name.
yeah, and here we go. I wonder if there's gonna be any like Truman Show samples in here.
I like that. I like that percussion a lot.
Yeah. Woo!
Yep.
Very cool. Really nice shaker layering. Super sophisticated. I mean, so far, no complaints.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice one-shot hi-hat there. Woo. I'm sorry to do this, everyone, but I'm gonna pause here, just in the interest of time. I'll go first on this one, and I don't have much to say. I mean, it's there. I mean, I liked everything about this: the composition, the arrangement, the texture choice, the whooshes, and the ambient. Is that a bird outside? Oh,
Probably.
I thought I heard a squawking. Nice. Everything about it. I mean, I just feel I actually don't really have any feedback on this. I think this is just a super solid
Mhm.
track. Uh, in the chat, a lot of people were saying this is like if Cora and I don't know how to pronounce it, Hrach or Hrock, if they came together to make a track, it would be this. Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think could fit on like Cora's label. Yeah, I mean, I'm just rambling. I mean, I don't have any feedback. I think this is great. I think you should be really, really proud of this. I love it.
Yeah, it's really really well done. I like the percussion especially. Um, in the opening, I love when people can take little percussion and make little melodies in the groove, little percussive melodies in the groove with the drums. I think that's just like something that you dance to throughout the entire track, and that was definitely here in this one. And I like that it had like kind of a sunrisey vibe after the break. It's like this build and atmosphere, and you kind of brought everything together really nicely, and it had a really full sound without sounding over overdone.
Yeah.
That's really hard thing to get right. So yeah, great work, really nice.
Yeah. And one thing that I didn't mention, but it's included. I mean, really nice or like layering of the organic sounds. I remember like the shakers, like you have a few shakers going on, they're not fighting with each other, they're like layered just perfectly, and your little
Mhm.
percussion fills very Cora-esque. I mean, as you all know, I'm a big Cora fan. I study Cora's music a lot to figure out how to variate my percussion and keep it moving, and this has a lot of that. Just really, really, I mean, on everything, just hats off. But I think for me, what stands out the most is just the subtle percussion stuff. Is just really, really beautiful. So great, great job. Cool. So we're gonna let's jump into one of your tracks, Hoj. I haven't
You
heard this
didn't?
yet. Sorry.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I didn't listen as we discussed in advance that I'd listened to it first time here. So this is an upcoming release you have on your Tail and Tone label
Mhm.
with Newman.
Yeah, and with vocals by Omega.
Cool.
Yeah,
So let's listen through and then let's talk about it a little bit afterwards.
cool.
All right, here we go. Woo! Sick. Woo!
She killed the vocals on this.
I can't wait to see where it goes.
You remember that Hoj House thing we were always
This
talking
is
about?
Hoj House. This is Hoj House.
Does it keep you on the ground? Can it keep you safe and sound? Where you break it apart when you don't know where to start, and you can't see in the dark.
Cheers, man.
What weighs you down? Does it keep you on the ground? Can it keep you safe and sound where you are? Ooh, I wanna run away.
Nice. Super cool
Break
texture.
it apart when you don't know where to start, and you can't see in the dark down there. Do you wanna run away? Ooh, I wanna run away.
9 on the 24th. We actually did a filter pass on the bass line.
Sorry.
We actually did a filter pass on the bass line.
Oh, got it.
Cool, you could stop it, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, I think the comments in the chat and my dance moves speak for themselves. I mean,
Love
this
it.
is a bomb, dude. This is really, really nice.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. I'm
I
glad you
only
like
have,
it.
yeah, I mean, I only have positive things to say. I mean, obviously the vocal is beautiful. That fat Hoge House bass line, the arrangements where you have the vocals and then there's the kind of arpy synth thing that it brings the noise in, and I mean, it's just, I mean, people are just going crazy in the chat right now. I'm in agreement. You should be really, really proud of this. You guys
Oh,
put
thanks,
together
man.
something really special.
Thank you.
Um,
Who's Ollie? You know, Omega's. I met her at Return to Rio.
oh, really?
Yeah, we did together. You were there.
Oh, where did we meet her? I'm not sure if I
Probably
know. If you know.
backstage. Her real
Oh.
name, but yeah, it
Oh,
was
I do remember meeting a singer there.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
So
cool.
like that's actually my I got to tell Ricky, but that's what I want to do is play it on Return to Rio and have her sing the
Oh, that would
vocals.
be
That would be so
super
good.
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Awesome.
yeah, I think that's also like, you know, it all started with that, you know, you mentioned the strings. I did those strings on a really stripped groove and sent it to her.
Hmm.
And then she kind of did the vocals just with that chord progression, and everything kind of blew out of that. the bass lines, it's been really great collaborating with Newman because he's like at a production level can do what I always wanted to do
Yeah.
with the low ends. You know, it's so such a difficult thing to master, and he's just kind of, you know, I can do a pretty good bass line, but when he was like, hey, check this out, and he did a filter pass on the bass line, I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm out. I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
wow. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, it
it's
was
super. It's
super
been super
fat.
fun. It's super fat, the bass, and yeah, he's just. When I sent him the first sketch, he was like, "I love it. We have to add some muscle to this," and I was like, "Okay, let's add some muscle."
Awesome. What does the collaboration? There's a million ways to collaborate. Maybe less than a million in the middle of a pandemic. But what's the
Yeah.
collaboration process like between you and Newman? How does it work?
Um, you know the way it's worked during the pandemic, and it's actually great for me as a DJ. I'll send him something that I've been working on for a while. That's 80%, let's say 90%, and if it resonates with him, we'll kind of talk about, is this like a dance floor bomb? Is it a groover? Is it like where do we think we can take it? And then I'll send him the stems, and he'll do his Newman thing,
Hmm.
um, which is a pretty awesome thing to.
Yeah.
And then he'll send me kind of where he's got to. Um, and it for me, it's always such a pleasure because it's like, I don't know if it's just being a DJ and you always want to hear the new thing. Um, it's like somebody's taken a lot of the ideas and concepts
Yeah.
and just made them different, and now I'm really excited to play them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
It's kind of
know,
like a remix in a way.
yeah, that's kind of how we look at it. Lately though, as the pandemic's lifted, um, we've spent some time together as well, and obviously ideal because you can kind of
Mhm.
talk about your intention with a chord progression or a sound, or um, oh, hey, do you have this little part of this as a MIDI file, and then you can like quickly get like bounce that or whatever. So that's obviously the preferred, but
Yeah.
it's been really, we've made do during the pandemic for
Oh, I
sure.
mean, absolutely. Whatever you were doing, it worked. Yeah,
Cool.
it's interesting. A couple ideas just to chat on there. One is I also have this 80% point that I hit, and that last
Yeah.
20% of finishing a track is so hard. And
Yeah.
I can bang my head against it for a few days, or I can step away from it for a couple months and come back. And I think similar to what you and Newman did, I did something similar with Yoku,
Oh,
and
cool.
I had like 12 tracks at the 80% point. I just put them in a playlist. I sent them to
Mhm.
Julian, and he just got like really inspired by him, and he basically went ahead and remixed them. And then we had a little back and forth, like tweaking
Yeah.
a couple of things here and there. But yeah, it's a really great way to collaborate and just to put some wind in your sails. If you get really frustrated, it's okay to. It doesn't have to be yours. You can learn so much, and you can build on ideas. And there's some things you have to let go of also.
Yeah.
But for anyone out there, if you're really frustrated about not finishing stuff, it's great to learn how to finish stuff, but it's also great. Send it to a friend, have them see if they
Yeah.
can finish it, and just make it a collaboration.
Phone a friend.
Yeah,
It's so.
yeah, the
I,
lifeline. Yeah.
I actually did I find that 80% thing often as well. Sometimes a whole track comes together and is pretty much done really quickly, and it doesn't feel tedious at all.
Yeah,
Other times, yeah, you're just kind of stuck at this 80% thing, and I find I just don't want to go in the studio to finish it. It's like I
yeah,
procrastinate.
hundred
Um,
percent.
so yeah, that's a good time to phone a friend. And I think you're absolutely spot on. When you do that, I think on both sides you just have to put the egos away and be willing to let go of something that you thought was the heart of the track to make way and be open to something else that could be the heart of the track.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's a really fun way to work, and as long as both sides are super open.
Absolutely. Well, massive tune, really, really great. I'm definitely gonna play. My next gig is October 8th, Atish All Night Denver, and
Nice.
110% chance I'm going to play this one there.
That's
So,
awesome. You have to take a video and send it to me because apparently that's really good on social media.
okay, I've heard that. I will definitely do that. So we're scheduled to go for 40 more minutes. Let's maybe do a little bit of a speed round to try and get through as many submissions
Yeah.
as we can. And if you have time and if you want to go longer, we can go longer, but absolutely no pressure at all. Let's jump up into. So we made it out of the Patreon round. Thank you for everyone's support. And now for all the other submissions, basically I put them all in a list and I just randomize them, so there's no priority amongst who gets to go first. This one we have, I don't know how to pronounce that A with the thing on it, but Marama, One for the Dreamers, unmastered. You ready, Hoj?
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right. Nice ambient, engulfing kind of vibe. Whoa. That took me by surprise. Oh,
That's cool.
cinematic. very unexpected melody here. Cool. So I'm gonna pause it here. Hoj, what do you think so far?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some really nice deep textures and grooves going on. I feel like I want something to. Almost feels like it's just really deep, and I think that's a really good aesthetic. But sometimes it's nice to have something to play off that's not deep. You know, I feel like the melody is deep. The pads are really deep. Obviously, the groove is really deep, and I guess I'm just wanting for something to be a little bit juxtaposing that. I guess.
Yeah. My thought is I love the texture work. I think the vibe, I mean, if there's a strong vibe and it's very focused and it has a clear vision of what the feeling of the track is, which I like. I love those orchestral strings that you have coming in. It's very
Mhm.
cinematic, great textures. Um, Obviously the focus of the track is that lead sound. Doom, 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 doom. Um, at first there were some surprise notes in the scale, which I appreciated. Um, then kind of later on, I felt like the lead was just kind of like wandering around. Maybe it kind of comes together again later on. But I think to Hoj's point, um, I wanted to have a little bit more focus. A focus in the lead sound, B, evolving the lead sound or changing a little bit, or C, which I probably feel the strongest about, and I think you said this, Hoj, having some kind of call and response going on. You know, you have the lead kind of opening. I mean, I talk about this in all my mentorship sessions. Cora and I, we talked about last time. The lead sound kind of having a conversation with another sound or another texture. So it just doesn't feel like there's this nice sounding thing that's just wandering around kind of lost. Maybe that's what you're going for. If it is, I think it does that well. But for me personally, I have a nice feeling, but it's losing my attention. That's where I'm kind of at with it right now. Um, let's listen for a minute more, and then just in the interest of time, I want to get to as many demos as we can, and then we'll move forward. Does that work, Coach?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Okay, so that's kind of a call and response happening here. Oh, it is a call and response. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I'll stop it there. So I rescind my feedback. You had perfect call and response. You know, you had the strings woo woo woo, dung 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 dung. It just still didn't quite grip me. There's a little bit of like the melody wandering, which just didn't sit right with me. Um, that lead sound could be my headphones, but it's like kind of very forward and um, it doesn't like sit kind of floating in the mix with everything else. You know, I wonder if you could even open the attack time a little bit so it's like a softer hit. Have kind of what I said before for that one track that I really Jakira's track. Have some kind of envelope going, kind of some kind of velocity randomness, just something to kind of humanize it and make it not sound like the same note hit every single time. I just
Mhm.
want a little bit more life out of it. Call and response is great. I was wrong in saying that it wasn't there. Textures are great, but there's just like something that just needs to be squeezed out of it to like really keep my attention, and a little bit less wandering in the melody. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
I think in the chat, it's the ride was about to come
Oh,
in.
okay.
So
Well, let's hear the ride.
let's get on the ride.
Okay.
I will say it's like, if you're playing this out, you're thinking about mixing out right now. So maybe bring the ride in a little bit sooner. But let's listen to it and see what he's got going on.
Yeah. Great. I mean, nice arrangement touch, and the melody has moved up a register, which is good. Cool. So
Cool.
approve on the ride. Nice. It brought some life to it. Hoj, anything you want to add?
No, I think you covered that. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. Thanks for the submission. Really, really nice textures in there. I think in my opinion, I think it's really close. Just a little bit to squeeze out of, and you got a really nice viber. All right. This one's from ADHM. We missed you last month. I think we ran out of time, so we're going to catch you this month. Here we go. Also, hi, Dad. My dad is tuned in. Oh. Really nice glitchy textures in the back there.
Yeah.
pause here. Did you go first last time, or did I go first last time?
I don't remember.
Um, all right, well, I'll go. Um, I I think there's a lot of things I like about this. The chord progression is really nice. I feel like I'm kind of like encompassed, inside the textures. The vocal is beautiful. It's a very emotional track. Um, the I'm not sure the bass line. It doesn't completely sit right for me. I don't know if it's if it's like if it's the notes that were chosen. Well, I think there's two things. The notes, it's kind of cool. It sounds like a little bit dissonant, or it's notes in the scale that like aren't exactly on the root, which is kind of cool. And also, I think like rhythmically, it's a groove, but I think a little bit more can be squeezed out of the groove. I talked about this in a previous track. Um, Maybe you can have another kind of kick or another like sub bass to kind of like have it like gallop a little bit more. um Overall, the feeling is really nice. I also felt a little bit of dissonance just before the break, but I can't remember exactly with which elements. What I really liked a lot, and you were hinting at this, and it came through a lot more earlier in the track, you had these nice kind of glitchy kind of textures that didn't sound, like everything else that I hear in this genre. And to take this from like a really nice sounding track, if you wanted it to not kind of be another track that just gets lost within a lot of other music that fits within this genre, I would consider trying to push it to the next level and kind of whatever you did there with those little texture blippy glitchy things, see if you can take some of those ideas or push that to the forefront with some of your other lead sounds, or synth sounds, or your textures or percussion. Because I overall, long story short, I think it's a nice track. It has a lot going for it, but it feels like something that I wouldn't complain if I heard it on the dance floor, but I probably wouldn't, Shazam it, or I wouldn't remember it, or I wouldn't go out of my way to put it on. So I would spend a little bit more time thinking, how can I squeeze a little bit more out of it to have it stand out from the rest of the pack. And I think, um, you hinting at it with like the glitchy kind of weird stuff can add some nice color to it, to make it stand out a little bit more. But overall, it's very nice. It's very pleasant. Not many complaints. Hoj?
I think, I think the vocal is beautiful, and you've done a really good job at working around and with that, and kind of giving it a place to shine. Yeah, it's such a lovely vocal. I really feel the emotion in the song, as you said, Atish, and it just feels really soulful, to me. I I think I agree with you on the bass line. I had a similar thought. I don't know if it's the notes, the sound and the frequencies that it's that those notes are hitting. Um, I also, maybe earlier in the first half, it was kind of supporting the piano pretty directly. You might look at um, arranging it so that the bass line's playing off the piano
Mm,
instead of them happening at the same time. That's just one thought. So it could be all those things, but I would definitely have a look at the bass line and just the groove in general. I do think it's like really close.
yeah,
I think it's a good note, Atish, to kind of play with the glitchier sounds to kind of give it an edge.
yeah,
I talk about that a lot. Is just like giving, just like something can be really beautiful and emotive and soulful, but if you can cut it with an edge, it's also just kind of gives it a little something new and different. And you have that in there already. It's
yeah,
just kind of working that out so it's a little more a primary part of the song maybe. But yeah, really nice work, and again, just such a beautiful and emotive overall feeling I get from it.
yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And my critical feedback is standing on the shoulder of something that's already very beautiful and just kind of seeing if you can push yourself to really take it to the A+ level. It's already
Mhm.
really good. So see if you can squeeze a little bit more out of it. That's what I would do. Obviously, up to you to ignore me or throw my advice in the garbage. No offense taken. Um, all right, let's see. Next one we have. Oh, this one's from This one's from DJ Ninja. This is Farah. She opened for me in Mauritius like 5-6 years ago. So nice to see her name pop up here. All right, let's jump right in. Ooh, nice texture there. So I'm just going to pause here really quickly before I forget. So far, I love all the elements. I think they sit on top of each other perfectly. It has a nice vibe. But I just want to note that my ears are just asking for something. I mean, I think this was about 30 seconds ago. My ears were just asking for something to happen. The feeling is great, but I feel like I'm a little bit caught in a loop. But curious to see where it goes. That's a cool little delayed guitar slide happening there. I like that. We have Bilal and Carolyn in the chat.
I know.
That's awesome. I'm just going to jump forward a little bit. And a little bit more. just gonna pause there. I went first last time, Hoj. What are your
Cool.
thoughts so far?
I mean, I think that there's so many good ideas in this. I agree with you though that the acoustic guitar, I feel like it's lovely, and I loved it. And I loved it when you changed it, when it kind of
Yeah,
changed up and you added that little change up to it. It doesn't feel like a lead though to me,
yeah,
and
100%.
it feels like it's being used as such. I think it would be great to bring that back, so that's a part of your groove. Give it some delays, some stuff to just kind of, and then you have just this really solid groove. Then I would just kind of play with the musical idea that comes out of that guitar and work on a lead to just kind of send it to the top. That's how I would approach it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you have all these great, like you have the baseline, not literal baseline, but you have the basis, you have the foundation of a great track. Um, and yeah, that acoustic guitar sitting in the middle ground. What is the track about? What is the center stage? Like, what is the vibe is there. I just want a melody. I want a lead. I want the voice of the track. And the whole time I was kind of waiting for it. So yeah, I think you're off to in my opinion, you're off to a great start. We just need to know what the track is about, what makes the track sing, and that's what's kind of missing here. But the feeling is great overall. Cool. All right, let's just keep jumping through, see how many we can get through. Next one is and also in the Discord, if there's anyone who I missed who's a Patreon subscriber, just let me know in the chat. And if you haven't linked your Patreon and your Discord account, that might be why I missed you. But in the meantime, let's just keep moving forward and see how many we can get through. All right, Rich Towers, track 8.
I like that.
Yeah, nice vibey pads.
Really optimistic bass line.
Optimistic, nice. Yeah. Nice vibe.
Yeah.
just gonna jump forward a little bit, just to different parts of the track.
Mhm.
Again, just in the interest of time. I love those delayed pad sounds.
Yeah, me too.
Just jumping forward a little bit. Cool. All right, I'm gonna pause it there. I think you went first last time, Hoj. So for this one, I think there's a lot of things I like about it, especially that pad sound. It's really nice, has a spacey kind of feel. The melodic textures are nice overall. Um, I'm kind of losing interest as I listen to it, and I think two things that you could do to address that are one, the percussion groove. There's a couple things. One, it just feels a little bit flat. It just feels like there's just kind of a groove that was just extended and dragged out in the DAW. Um, I would love some more variations, some more fills, some one shots. The little hand drum, whether it's a bongo or a conga, play with the velocity on it. If you're using Ableton or Bitwig, there might be a velocity random spread function where it can kind of hit them, at different velocities, so it feels a little bit more live. But I think you can squeeze out a lot more with the groove, with some fills, adding and taking out some layers, things kind of being filtered in and filtered out. That will help the track drag a little bit less and help the lead elements shine a little bit. Um, you know, I was there were some elements of lead sounds that were coming in before the break here and there. There was like a Robert Miles style piano, and there was another thing. It was never really clear to me, and this is similar to what we were talking about in the previous track, like what the track was about. Is there a lead in the track? Is it like an ambient thing? And then a lead comes in, in the break, um, which was cool. It was nice and it was refreshing. I would personally just play a little bit more around. Maybe a hookier lead, um, something that like the ear can hang on to a little bit more. It felt a little bit wandering to me, but overall the feeling was nice. I think there's a good foundation to build upon, and again, love those kind of delayed ambient pads. That's like the shining aspect of the track for me.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I agree with all of that. I think that when it first started, I love those bouncy bass lines. It's such a good vibe, and I just imagine this being played like daytime in outside somewhere. Kind of, that's what I get from the groove. Um, I think you can work, as Atish said, on the dynamics and the percussion throughout to kind of give it some change ups and some longevity to kind of keep you going. Um, and yeah, I think similar to the last one, I found myself wondering, like, great groove. What's the idea? Like right now, it's really nice, but what's the main musical idea that's kind of that people are going to remember? You know. So just think about that, and but again, great foundation. I find it helps me to kind of, once I have a groove, think about where I would play it. That's why I mentioned that. And yeah, see where it takes you.
Awesome. Let's keep moving forward. Thank you for your submission, Rich Towers. This one is from Trionfo. Sorry if I got that wrong. And this is called Imagine. Here we go. Nice surprise in the bass line there. Cool. I'm just going to jump forward a little bit. Cool. I'll pause there just so we can get through as many as we can. Hoj, I think you're up on this one.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I think that you have a focused idea, nice groove. The melodies are kind of, yeah, they're doing their thing. I do think, I'm not sure if that melodic element is enough to get you into the breakdown. You know how everything kind of goes away and then you just have that playing. I think something else needs to kind of creep up, or to kind of get you through to the next bit. Um, the drum roll in the second breakdown, I think it was, feels like it should be in the first breakdown. So maybe some arrangement things to look at there, but yeah, focus idea, pretty good groove. Yeah, all in all, really nice work. It felt like a solid production too. I felt like all the elements were sitting in their own frequency and had space to kind of to breathe, which is a really difficult thing to pull off as well.
Yeah. Overall, yeah, I feel it's solid. I would say this is a good foundation. This might be kind of when I'm working on something, I'd feel I'm at like the 70 or the 80% point where I have the fundamental ideas compositionally what I want. Um, Now it's like, what can I do? And I talked about this previously. What can I do to squeeze some more out of these elements to help it shine as a special track? And I think one thing that kind of stuck out to me, it felt arrangement wise, like a lot of the elements were just kind of stacked, like almost if you weren't listening to it, or if I wasn't listening to it and I just kind of blindly arranged it in Ableton, everything kind of came in a way that I would exactly expect. Um, it felt kind of, I hope it doesn't sound insulting, it felt kind of arranged by numbers in a way. And I think playing around with the arrangement, maybe having elements coming in new and different ways. The textures, give the textures some more variation, some more surprises. It's kind of something I say a lot. And then maybe you can play with, maybe the way they're stacked now. Try and see if you can not have your melodic elements loop so much, and see if you can have your melodic elements have a conversation with each other. It's, I'm banging that drum still. It's like such a fundamental thing to the way humans have been listening and consuming music since the beginning of time. Trying to have your melodic ideas have a conversation with one another, rather than just kind of stacking them on top. And that might mean actually changing the melodies, or maybe chopping your melody loop in half and putting another melody loop as the second half and doing this kind of thing. But I think the foundation is there. It sounds nice, as Hoj said. From a frequency spectrum wise, they sit on top of each other nice, but squeeze more out to feel not necessarily a hook, but to feel like a memorable conversation that the song is having with itself.
Yeah, I think, and just two things that you mentioned that I deal with too is like the arrangement by numbers thing. Everything's so precise in a computer, and it's really hard for me sometimes to like make it feel human in the arrangement, or surprising, because everything is so gridded out in the DAWs.
Yeah.
That's a really difficult thing, but a good thing to try to do. And I think on the melody and the conversation, I feel like another thing that I'll do is I'll take the chord progression or the notes and just start messing with them with another instrument or three instruments, and seeing where that takes me, because I work really. I focus in on an idea, and an idea is for me is usually a hook or a chord progression or a melodic element, and then it's about kind of like, okay, what can I do with this idea? What else could it be? How else can it sound? and that'll give me a lot of the textural things that you hear throughout too. So just another way to play with the idea so it doesn't feel too loopy.
Perfect. All right. We're past our 2-hour mark, but we're going to extend a little bit. Let's try and get in 2, 3, maybe 4 more demos. We're not going to get to everyone today. I think we still have a queue of about 10 or 15, but want to try and get to as many as we can. So let's just keep it moving. All right. This is by DOS, Deepness in DOS. Here we go. Really nice strings here. Interesting. Just gonna jump through a little bit. Nice. Really nice. let's pause there. Hoj, you went first last time, so I'll go. Um, Beautiful chord progression. Um, I mean, right from like 36 seconds when you had those flowery kind of flourishes, like you had my attention. Overall, beautiful vibes. Um, I think my ears were kind of asking, and maybe it's kind of like an all day I dream thing. Like in the during the breakdown, I feel like if you found some kind of like vocal sample of
Oh
someone
my
like
god, I can't believe you said that. I literally wrote that down, and I literally was like, when those pianos went, I was gonna be like, a vocal would be great right here.
yeah,
It doesn't have to
signature.
be somebody like singing. It could be
Yeah.
somebody just like, whatever. But
Talking or something from a movie or something, right? Yeah,
can't believe you said that. That's amazing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, definitely consider it. We both thought
Yeah.
it.
But outside that, yeah, I mean, I feel it was really, really beautiful. Maybe a couple things you could play with in the bass line, especially early on. You have the filter on the bass open quite a bit. I wonder if you can kind of save that for later when you have a higher energy, or you can do like kind of like an envelope or some kind of way to add some more movement to the bass. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, in the breakdown, you're also, which I appreciate, you were playing around with this kind of like glitch, distorted delay. It didn't sit right for me. It kind of just like spooked me a little bit when I heard it, but I wouldn't put that away. I think you can kind of run with that idea if you can push it to its max. For some reason, the idea Lucine, a producer who I love, who does a lot of cool things with like taking like beautiful parts and kind of like glitching them out and having weird kind of like messed up delays. I think there's room for you to play and kind of, as Hoj so perfectly put it before, add a little bit of edge to it. And the only reason I play it is because you started experimenting with something a little edgy in the break. So I would encourage you to run with that, to take this from like a really nice, beautiful track to a really nice, beautiful, like interesting, unforgettable track. So yeah, you gave me a taste of like some like glitch and weirdness. It didn't quite sit right for me, but I would encourage you to run with that and try and sprinkle a little bit of that throughout, so it just doesn't feel like beautiful chords with stock arrangement or maybe stock textures. It has that edge or excitingness to really push it to the next level. But overall, fundamentally, beautiful vibes. I felt really good from what I was hearing.
Yeah, really, really nice track. The vocal thing, yeah, take it or leave it. I mean, but I genuinely did think that and was very surprised to hear Atish thought the same. Um, and the bass it's like that, the long kind of bass hits that are chord progressions unto themselves. It's just really hard to pull that off. You did a really nice job. I could see this being played, um, you know, in very particular deserts and things like that. Um, but yeah, really really nice work. I'm also curious to hear like what else you've done, as well. So hit me up. What do they say? DM me, bro.
DMs, slide into DMs. What's the best way to send demos your way?
Just to Hosh at tailendtone.com.
Cool.
That's
All
probably
right.
the best.
Always a good sign when a label manager says, "Send me more." Cool. All right, let's keep it going. Maybe we'll do a couple more. This is Mazire. Hope I got that right. This Hypnosis. Here we go. Ooh, haunting already.
I love that little bass.
I'm excited to see where this goes. Oh! Perfect. Perfect. Cool. I'll pause it there. Think I went first last time. I don't remember. Hoj, thoughts?
Yeah, I love that track.
All right.
Great track. Who did it? How do you say it?
Mazayr. Mazayr?
Mazai.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good. Love the groove. I think somebody said in the chat they called me out. They're like Hoj's style.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but yeah, just the groove just got me. all the elements, and that surprising like kind of yeah raining ballad kind of thing. Yeah, really nice job, really good.
Yeah, nice tune, nice groove over here. Someone referenced Davi or Davy. Yeah, it has a nice kind of forward groove with synth sitting on top. I like that. I wonder if you could play a little. The bass, it sounded a little bit detuned. I don't know if it's just me. Um, Independent of that, I wonder if you can, if you're not doing this already, you kind of have two layers of bass going on, and they're having a conversation with each other, which is good. Um, if they're not already, sorry, whether or not they're two different textures, maybe play with varying the textures or the sonic palette of both those bass sounds. So I find that when I have different bass textures playing off one another, the track kind of grooves and feels a little bit more alive. Um, so I would play a little bit around with the bass. Um, Overall, I thought it was pretty solid. I'm glad after the second break you added this new kind of weird thing, which is kind of cool. Yeah, that's interesting. I would maybe just, I don't have really specific feedback. Maybe play around with just tweaking that one or adding some automation if you have control over the parameters of that texture, just to kind of space it out even a little bit more. But yeah, overall, I think this was a pretty damn solid track. Nice groove, kept me hooked. Especially through the first breakdown. Yeah, just good stuff overall. And last one, just to round it out, this one's from Fide. This is Face Another Day. And then I think we're going to wrap it up. So, oh, it's only 2 minutes, 5 seconds. Interesting. Well, we're at the end anyway, so let's hear it. All right, we'll pause it there. So technically, we're breaking my rule, saying finish tracks only, but we're at the end of the day, so it can be a little bit loose. My thoughts. I think you went first last time, right, Hoj?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My thoughts overall. I mean, it's just an idea, so it's hard to say. But from what I'm hearing so far, I think there's a lot of great elements in there. I think since it's in the like raw demo phase, I think there's just a lot of stuff fighting for one another right now. I'm just being thrown with a lot of different parts at once, and obviously, if the track is at 205, you haven't gone to the mix down, you haven't done a lot of arrangement, so it's really hard to give feedback. So all I can really say at this point is there's nice ideas in there. I have no complaints around the ideas, but my ears are just being bombarded with a lot. So see how much you can remove. And this all comes out in the arrangement to see how they interplay off one another rather than just stacking on one another. But I think it has potential to sound nice.
Yeah, I think similarly, there's a lot there. You have the vocal, the kind of mallets over the top, good groove, just solid, but yeah, just a lot happening, and there's and actually it works. You know, it's not like things are sounding bad together. It's just like so it's not like there's a bunch of things on the same frequency and you can't really decipher what's what. I think for me, it's more like things don't have space, you know? Um, so, and maybe when you get to arranging it, you can start to, like Atish said, kind of move things around and just give things the space that they deserve because there's good ideas in there.
Cool. All right. Well, I want to, on that note, I want to thank everyone for submitting their demos. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Major props to the Patreon supporters. Appreciate you supporting me in that way. And hopefully you enjoyed being bumped to the top of the queue. But most importantly, big thanks to you, Hoj. Thank you for your time. Thanks for hanging out. And thanks for your ears. Always a pleasure to hang out with you. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. Thanks, guys, and thanks. I've been following the chat and unable to type into it, um, but really appreciate everybody submitting. Heard some lovely music today. Got to spend time with Atish. Yeah, it's really fun. Thanks so much for having me.
Simmer says this was fucking awesome. If Simmer is pleased, that's a good sign.
If Simmer says that, yeah.
Yeah. And oh, just the last thing I wanted to add, I mentioned this in my Instagram post, and Cora and I, we talked about it, a bit in depth on the last one. But as I learned firsthand last time, I secretly submitted one of my submissions to Mike, and there's so many layers about how hard it is to put yourself out there with this. One,
Yeah.
submitting a track to someone for feedback is scary. Two, if you're like a bedroom producer or not a professional, submitting it to two professionals for feedback. And then three, doing that on a live stream in front of a bunch of people. I mean, that really takes guts. So I just want to say, hats off to everyone, whether or not your track made it into the stream. We didn't have enough time. Just having the courage to even just submit it and have people openly critique your work, that's an accomplishment and that's a victory in itself. And it shows that you're really open to wanting to grow and improve yourself. So just, small round of applause for everyone just for submitting their music.
Yeah,
Should be proud of yourself.
that's such a great point, Atish. Thank you, everybody, so much. It's really hard. It was even hard for me to have you play my track. It's
Oh,
like that's already been like mixed and road tested and all. I was still like, oh shit!
I would be shitting my pants too if I was in your position.
What if Atish doesn't like the bass? I can't do anything about it at this point. But yeah, it does take a lot, and yeah, I think also just thanks Atish for doing this. I think as I was in the bedroom and trying to figure out what the fuck a MIDI cable was and it's a pretty steep learning curve. I had a couple people that would help me along the way, but I wish there was something like this for me to tune into and realize that there's just a lot of people with doing this and willing to help. And yeah, it's really nice what you're doing. Really good.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. And I do it. It just brings me joy. It just makes me really happy to do it. So, whether there's one person submitting a demo or 1,000 people submitting a demo, or whether I do it alone or guests want to join me, I mean, I'm just going to keep doing this as long as I can because it really makes me happy to do this. And I love listening to music. So it works out perfectly.
Yeah.
But on that note, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Hoj. And we'll catch you next month. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks all.